Hello, everybody. Good morning in this world where mass and energy are equal and everything can be understood in a way that the brain is a product of the cosmos, or the cosmos is a product of the brain, or something in between. Who even cares, right? Let's get to the message real quick. Yes, I was just having breakfast with my daughter and we were talking. She asked me, "What is the oldest language in the world?" And as I couldn't answer her this, we got in a conversation, and the result I will present to you. I will give you a way to extract more meaning out of every universal story, out of every old story, out of basically every story and narrative. Um, Without further delay, it's going to be about the building of the Tower to Babylon, the old biblical story of the Tower of Babylon. Okay? And, I told my daughter, but right now I will switch into the narration as if I just talking here to you. I told her um, that a lot of people think the stories in the Bible make no sense because they think, there's God sitting in the sky and then there's the people, they all speak the same language. That's why they can communicate very well, team up, build a huge tower. Tower is too big because God is God and people is people, and then he destroys the tower and everybody suddenly speaks a different language, yes, as a punishment. So that makes no sense, okay? So, yeah, understand that. That's just all too human, right? No, but you can make a lot of sense out of stories like that by understanding them as if they were happening within yourself as a psychic drama, so to say. And in this case, you could see it as a naive, again, a naive state of living, of being, status quo. Sorry, when I'm talking, I often look like I have this habit to look up. That's when I imagine something, when I try to focus. But I understand that it's frustrating for you. I need to work on that also in real life, especially in real life. Um, and this naive state is like the state in paradise when Adam and Eve were just chilling, everything was good, but they were immature basically because they had this father figure and mother figure, God, around them, taking care of everything. So they were immature little kids playing in paradise. Anyway, we're not talking about them, right? At the moment, we're talking about Babylon. And they were naive, everything is good, everybody speaks the same language, let's build a big tower. What is that when we transfer it to the human psyche, consciousness, existence, life? It means you have inner voices, you have parts of your identity, you have building blocks, you have smaller units that are working together. It could be seen as mirror neurons. It could be seen as neurons. It could be seen as organs working together. Anything that you consist of. When it is syntonic, there is the term ego syntonic. It means that everything is in kind of a harmony and you're like yourself and you walk the talk and you talk the walk. You're kind of aligned. You get it straight, boy. And it is a sign of a healthy person to be egocentric. The same as, you could see it again as these introjects. The people, okay, the people that speak the same language are introjects, are parts, are parental voices, voices from friends, voices from society, and they all say the same aligned message that what you do is right and good. And you say, oh, what I'm doing is right and good, and everybody's right and good, and everything is fine. And you decide to build a tower. The tower is the persona, and everything is perfect. You are in this naive state of peace and harmony. There is someone taking care for everything in the background, but this is why you are carelessly, everything is good, everything is fine. And you build this persona, and you build it, you know, in the Bible there is also, we are built in the image of God. And this has tendency, narcissistic people, how long? 5 minutes, and I didn't say narcissist, but now we're there. Um, as Sam Vaknin said, okay, 6 minutes, I said Sam Vaknin. He made the book, he wrote the book Malignant Self-Love. And self-love is healthy, but malignant self-love is a problem. And narcissists do everything that healthy people do, but in a pathological way. So they twist it completely. It's not healthy. And also, they're just a fracture of a mature person anyway. The thing is, you're building this persona like a tower or in Babylon, okay? And this is in the state of naivety. So you build it and you fall in love with the image of it. You get a vision of a tower that gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And at some point, your persona is so big and huge that there are many, many problems. It's the same problems that an engineer is facing when building a tower that gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It needs it needs a foundation that is at some point beyond any measures. It also needs coffee, tons of coffee. I mean, how do you make enough coffee for all the engineers, architects, and workers? Nobody can drink so much coffee. And you also need, at some point, the material might collapse because there's more and more weight, and the lever changes, and the area where the wind can attack it. The wind is like other people asking questions about the grandiosity, undermining the grandiosity with reality, and so on. This means the structure gets more and more fragile. And at some point, it will have to collapse. It, by the way, gives me a parallel, an association to Luciferian spirit, which is a masculine spirit of, and not even necessarily toxic, but it easily gets toxic, a spirit of manipulation and domination. And this spirit of pride is kind of very vulnerable because it tends to grow and grow and get bigger and bigger and higher, and it is very hard. But what happens when something is very, very hard, like glass, and it gets bigger and bigger? It might be super, super hard in some sense for the penetration of, when you try to penetrate a piece of glass with a needle, you can't. It's very hard, yes. But when the glass falls down on the ground, it will easily break, especially when you have a high tower out of glass. So this is why people that have too much pride and a very big persona can easily collapse, and when they fall, they break. Okay. And now imagine this tower falling. This persona falling, the false self, the grandiose self that was coming from a naive state, a naive of egocentricity, of self-love in some way, of everything is nice, but now suddenly there is the tower moment, it falls and it breaks and it shatters because of the spirit of pride. Okay, something more healthy would be the idea of bamboo, which is flexible Not so hard, not so proud, rather humble, and yeah, built in a very special way. Think about it. But now it's too late. We got the tower, it's fallen, and it's shattered. This also gives me vibes or ideas of a shattered self. And narcissists definitely have a shattered self where parts of it can't communicate with each other. And also, every human being has kind of um, a fractured personality. At least this is the idea of Carl Jung's psychology. And at roughly the age of 40, we usually stumble upon this. And then shadow work is needed to integrate the shattered parts that lie dormant within the subconsciousness or even the collective subconsciousness. Now, when the Tower of Babel fell, there was multiple punishments going on, like I think some catastrophes happening, and this is of course when something happens to a person like that, it also feels like the whole world is breaking down and all kinds of problems happening to the person. You can fill in yourself. You know, I'm not doing everything for you here. I'm giving you the way to understand universal archetypal stories as psychological drama within yourself because it makes more sense than the picture of God sitting in the skies, throwing down a tower, and punishing the people. Now, what is the different languages then? Why are now the people spread all over the country, the land, and now they speak different languages? That means that the person is not so egocentric anymore. It means that we sometimes have voices inside that are not completely aligned with us, that might be uncomfortable. Some of them we might have to get rid of them, by the way. Um, yeah, this is the basic way to understand this. It means that we find ourselves at some point when we're working on the persona, then when we understand the persona is not it's not who we really are. When other people use pride and persona against us as a weapon, it makes us vulnerable. I already said narcissists, narcissistic envy, the malicious envy of narcissists, is not character assassination. They try to assassinate your character, but they can only assassinate your persona, which is still painful. It's a tower that falls, but it can also, the only chance you have is to make use of it and start this process of growth. And it's just a perfect parable for this is how the story of the Tower of Babel is being told, okay? And yeah, it means that after this, you have a lot of also kind of mayhem or inner turmoil and chaos, and you will have to learn the languages of these voices, the alien, it's like a self alienation. And I could go deeper into this. I don't want to say it necessarily needs to be dissociative or depersonalization, but this is basically the terms, the psychological terms to describe the phenomenon of having too many voices that are not egocentric, probably. Yeah, so just think about it. See, there is always dark and light in every story, and we never want to go back to the naive state of being. Our cosmos is a place where entropy is always increasing, and there is only a few divine things that oppose this trend, that create order within the ever increasing entropy. And these things are living things, as well as, for instance, crystals can do it too. They create order while everything else is just mingling and diffusing into the entropy. All right. So we want to move forward, create a new order within ourselves, and we use these necessary moments that will happen and force us to do finally what's necessary. Because human beings are lazy, that's a survival mechanism, so we don't expend too much energy on just doing random stupid stuff or whatever. But we get direction through this. First, get away from the pain, get away from the malignant, evil intention of the people that betrayed you, and then fill this. And then, when you are far away, you fill in, you create the idea of what is better than that, something positive, and you build a new order within yourself. And that being said, from now on, you understand stories that you read does not have to be in the Bible. In another way, in a way of it's happening in your mind, it's happening in your psyche, all right? And it gives you direction.